When you draw in Procreate, does your art look a little too clean, too flat, like it's just floating on the screen instead of painted on paper? In this video, I'm going to show you some simple fixes to make your digital art feel softer, warmer, and genuinely handmade, using a simple pear as our demo. These aren't complicated techniques at all, they're just small little shifts that make a huge difference. So let's get into it. So here we have a pear that looks rather digital now. So this might be a little bit of an extreme version, although it looks great. So if this is sort of the look you want, then this is perfect. But if you want it to look more painterly, more traditional, more gritty, that kind of thing, I'm going to show you a few tips here. First of all, the easiest way is to add texture. So we can do this by using one of the canvases. So you can go and look in the goodie bag, and I've provided a number of canvases that will transform your artwork instantly. Now I'm going to show you this tip that I didn't do correctly in a previous video. And the lovely Lynn Gaines, who's a wonderful member here, she reached out and showed me how to do it. So let me show you. So I'm going to move these layers into a canvas. So you're just going to select all of your layers. And so say you've drawn this already and you want to put it into a canvas project, another Procreate project. So we can just select these all, drag them, keep them held here, go to your gallery, go to your canvas. So this is my new living watercolor canvas here. So I'm just going to open that up. Now before I dropped them in here and they went in the wrong order, and that always really frustrated me. But what Lynn said to do was to open up the layers and drag them in, and boom, they're in the right order. How fantastic is that? Not only that, but now we have already a lovely texture on this pear, making it look like we've painted it on paper. So that's really great. So again, thank you, Lynn. So next up, let's have a look. So these lines, while again, a cool, look if that's what you want, but if we're wanting to make this a little bit more handmade, then we're going to have to change these lines. So what I'm going to do is just turn off that line work because I can still see just the way I've created this. If you've created something and you still need to see the lines, then just turn down the opacity. That'll work just as well. I'm going to create a new layer on top. I'm just going to get a brown color. So I'm just going to go to the oranges and get a brown, because changing it to a brown will soften it. It's not going to be as harsh. It's just going to sort of make this all look a little bit more rustic. So then I'm going to go and choose a different type of line work. So a different pencil. I think our sketching pencil that's found in the Character Design Academy here will do nicely. So this one, you can see it looks more like pencil, and it also has the ability to, have pressure. So I can go, the more I push, the thicker it is, the lighter pressure I have, the thinner it is. Now that will also be something that we'll want to do while we're doing our line work, because having variation in your lines will make it look a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and line. So I'm going to just be varying my pressure and not being so perfect. I think that is part of the key, is just to have those wonderful imperfections to make it look less digital. So I'm just going to do my best to not have a white gap there. It's kind of hard to follow this line, actually. Here we go. I think I might even lighten up this color a little bit. My brown might still be a little bit too harsh. And the other thing you can do as well, which I'll show you in a second here, is also change it to the color of the actual pear. Like, you don't have to outline it in a dark color. Of course, this is just a style choice. You could also be a bit more, sketchy about it too, if you want to kind of have a little grit, a little texture. Actually, I'm going to go back and do that in a second. I'll just finish this bit. Already that looks a lot less harsh. And then you can go and maybe make some lines here to kind of give it some texture on the stem there. You can soften this here. Actually, I do have a brush for that you could go ahead and use. This rough sketcher here, it's found in the Cute Character class. You can just see it looks like this. So by putting this around here, just kind of scrubbing it, just giving it that extra little bit of texture. Maybe a little bit more on the bottom just to give that weight. That's just giving it extra bit of grit. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so I might go and just go back to my sketching pencil. Maybe we'll just give a few more details, like a few veins here. And just having that variation of pressure so it's, goes softer at the end, so you have a little bit thicker at the base and lighter pressure at the end. And there, that looks nice. Now this is a choice, again, it's still a little bit more, well, certainly more on the illustrative side, but if you wanted, you could go ahead and create a new layer, make it a clipping mask, and then select this color, and let's see, what would work well for this? Maybe just even like the inky filler, just have it all the way. And I'm just gonna color this in. I don't know if I'll keep it like this, but I'll just show it to you. If you wanted to have even just a sort of a softer sort of a look, you can do that. Make it sort of blend in more with the color so it's not so harsh. But for this, I actually kind of like the way we had it. But you can always color your line work as well. Next, let's add some shadows. So I'm going to go to the pear and I'm going to create a new layer, make it a clipping mask. Again, select this color, and what I'm going to do is just bring it down and to the right just to give it a little bit of warmth. And I'll pick something that has a bit of texture. I'll just pick this watercolor brush here. Let's just have it at a bigger size. Mine's at about 53 or so. And just on the right side here, I'm going to come in and just give it a soft shadow. So just making that shadow, just having it darker on the edges, really does start to make this more of a round shape instead of a flat shape. I'm just going to do a little bit of shading on here. You can also go in and maybe choose like a nice purple color, create a new layer, make it a clipping mask. Just start to add those colors in. Do you see how that livens that up a bit? And there we have some nice, actually I'm going to make this so it's sort of indented here. So I'm just going to make my brush a little smaller, sort of pushing that in there. And there we go, some lovely shadows. I might just play with this a little bit. I can try to see what multiply looks like. Actually, I like it at normal. I like seeing that color, changing the opacity. And there we go. Next up, we can add some color variation. So again, I'm going to create a new layer, make it a clipping mask. I'm going to choose something like a yellow or an orangey sort of color, which when you think about a pear, you can kind of see that in that. So still with this brush, I'm just gonna maybe make it a little bit bigger. Just have a few little spots where you start to have this yellow come in. Maybe you can make it through a little bit of sort of pink or red, just bringing in that warmth and that variation so it's not all like a flat green color. Maybe I'll focus more up there. And that looks nice. Okay, maybe we should do something to our leaves here. Okay, so I have a lighter area here as well. So I do have a bit of shadow on here, but I'm still gonna put a bit of color on here. So for this part, I'm just gonna create a new layer and still maybe with more of a purple color, I will just add a little bit. I don't wanna go overboard, just a little bit here. And then on my highlight layer here, I'm just gonna create a new layer and just bring in maybe that yellow a little bit, just a touch, bit of warmth. And that just gives it some variation. Next, let's give a little bit of a highlight. So I'm going to create a new layer again, all these clipping masks to my original pear. And I'm going to just go and choose sort of a light creamy yellow color. I'm actually going to change my blend mode to add. It's one of my favorites for highlights. I'm going to bring the opacity way down, so maybe about 20. Still with the soft brush, I think that'll be nice for this, which is still the watercolor brush. On the opposite side of the shadow, I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight. Maybe make it a little bit bigger here. Bringing that in there like that. Maybe have this even a little bit lighter, just to give it a little bit of a hot spot. Just not making it perfect, you know? Having a little bit here. Okay, nice. Now we can go ahead and do the same thing on our leaves, and maybe we'll give the stem a little bit of something too. So I'm just going to create a new layer where this part is, make it, or change the blend mode to add, bring it down low, and just add just a little bit of highlight in here, a little bit of texture. And we can do the same thing to our stem. We actually haven't really done much to this. We might need to give it a shadow, but let's see. I'm just going to go to add, bring down the opacity to about 20, and make it lighter on here. And that's nice. So next up, we can add a few traditional watercolor marks. Now in the goodie bag here, I don't have a ton, but if you have one of my packs like Living Watercolor or the new Loose Watercolor Artist Studio, you'll have access to all these wonderful marks. So I'm just going to grab one here so you can see it. So maybe a stamp like this, and I'm going to choose, let's see, maybe something like this color, maybe a little bit peachy. And I'm going to go and again attach it to my pear here. So I'm actually going to tap on the pear so that the clipping mask is below. Make sure this is on a separate layer because your stamps, you want to be able to move them. And we're going to have a stamp that will give us some lovely texture here. Maybe I'll want it over there. And you can move it and arrange it however you want. Now that looks a little bit crazy right now, but let's just go and play with our color modes. Maybe multiply, but bring down the opacity. Something like that. Now what you can do is, so that gives us some wonderful, again, more texture that looks really much more authentic. I'm going to go to my smudge tool and just soften some of these edges here. So just soften just a little bit here and there. And I might still even just bring this down, this opacity down a little bit more, just so it blends in a little bit. That's probably perfect. Okay, so that again gives us a little bit more texture, a little bit more realistic touches. Okay, so I'm going to create a new layer again. Now I'm going to go back to my Illustrator Starter Kit, and you'll see I do have some paint scatter here. So adding a few little imperfect details always is a nice touch as well. So I'm going to go back to this light yellow color. Again, I'm on a separate layer, and I'm just going to go and, you play with the sizes here, how big I want it. Something like that. So then I can move this. And maybe, let's see what lighting we would like. Maybe overlay, and then bring down the opacity. And then let's create a new layer, and let's go and get a brown, not that quite that dark, maybe a little bit warmer. And still with the paint scatter, that's fine. And just do that, and then we'll have some little imperfections here as well. So I like the darker on the shaded side, and I'm going to change that to multiply. Maybe play with the opacity just a little bit, maybe even a little bit more. If I can do it without having to move it. There. Okay. Lovely. And lastly, we can just give this a nice little shadow. So I'm going to have a layer below, still with that brown, that's fine. Let's maybe go and get the variegated edge. And let's see. We'll just sort of create a nice little shadow here. Now what you can do simply is go to your magic wand, Gaussian blur, and just take your pen and slide up. See how that just blurs out really nicely. So I'm just going to do a nice soft one like that. We bring it a little bit closer. And then I'm going to go back in and do quite a bit darker, just right at the base to really ground that. And then use your blender just so there's no harsh edges here. I just wanted to make sure it's nice and dark close to it. And there you go. So you've gone from this to this. I mean, that's quite a big difference. So you can see how just doing those few touches can really change your artwork to make it look way more painterly. So it looks like maybe you didn't do it on your iPad. So quite a difference. And there you go. That's how you take your Procreate art from looking really digital to looking like something you actually made with your hands. To get the brushes used today, grab the free goodie bag linked below. It also includes my free Procreate for Beginners course that gives you a full overview of everything you need to know about Procreate. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more tips, tricks, and inspiration. It helps the channel so much. And comment below if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see next. And if you want to keep improving your artwork, watch this next video here. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.